What we do here is go back.
Cool. All right. I mean, I wasn't expecting a ton of people to show up. It's almost midnight where I am, and it's probably late at night for most people. But I figured, I just figured, hey, communal. Let's let this be a little bit of a communal event, real quick. So, in that case, give me 1 second. I will open up the trailer. Now, mind you, I have not seen this at all. I've been trying to avoid it all day, even though I've been traveling and such. But checking whatever I can check while I'm roaming and stuff. Obviously, the first thing that pops up on my YouTube screen is just everyone talking about this trailer. So, yeah, it's hard to it's been lingering in the back of my mind all day, even though I've done a lot, like a whole lot today. So let's see. Here we go. Let me set up my other little recording equipment just in case. And we're gonna go with the official Apple TV Plus one, not the IGN version. Let's make sure the volume is off because I'm expecting very big things from this soundtrack. Yes, Hans Zimmer doing the music. That's what got me hyped. That's why I'm looking forward to this one, because I mentioned in the previous trailer, or the teaser trailer, that that I was the only thing I was genuinely disappointed in was how short it was, because I've been expecting this for years now, like having seen Planet Earth 2's trailer, which genuinely almost moved me to tears, and then Blue Planet 2's trailer, these full 2.5 minute long, beautifully cinematic experiences in and of themselves. What Prehistoric Planet put out initially was what is this? What is this mess? These little snippets here and there. So yeah, this is the big thing here. This is what I was hoping we would get. So let's see. All right, it is exactly midnight, so I'm gonna full screen it, hit play. I'm not gonna be able to see the chat while I'm watching this, but here we go. Actually, let me make sure also the annotations are off and the video quality is as high as possible. Oh, this already looks really nice, the still screen. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Come on, play.
This is Prehistoric Planet.
Okay.
There are many ways to describe life on this planet.
Ooh.
Some creatures could be called magnificent.
Ooh.
Or monstrous. Perhaps misunderstood. But only a few creatures who roam this earth could be called all three.
Ooh, shoot. Oh my god.
Explore the coastlines where giants roam. The deserts where danger rules.
Oh wow.
And ice worlds where survival is everything.
Oh damn.
Join us for a story you've never heard, on a scale you've never witnessed.
Oh, nice. Oh, right out through the Beelzebufo.
Unexplained, unbelievable, until now.
Ooh. God dang. Okay. All right. All right. Is that a little bit more narration than I was expecting? I was expecting something completely silent, but dang, this whew. that was wow. Wow. It's weird watching these, like, because you have in your mind what you're expecting, right? And then when you start seeing it, it doesn't click that that's what you're seeing, because you're seeing other things that you're not expecting, obviously. And so every once in a while, you're hit with that one shot, and it just sinks into your head. It's like, oh wait a second, and it takes a second for your mind to sort of process it, and then at that point, they've already moved on to showing something else. Yeah, like I used to watch um like comic book nerds reacting to, like, the Marvel trailers and stuff, and that was always fun to see. Even though I never really, because I'm not familiar with the comic books, but now I genuinely feel like I get what they feel like. I shoot, I am so looking forward to this. I've already gave my thoughtful piece in the previous video, so I've got it's been a long day. I've got nothing but this is nothing but expression, and more or less unfiltered raw thoughts. But I'm gonna look at this one more time and maybe freeze on a couple spots that I want to take another look at really quick. And then, of course, once I'm done with this whole thing, streaming this, I'm just gonna replay it a couple more times. All right, this is the replay, and with some I guess quick annotations. So first of all, this sauropod fight is gonna be freaking amazing. I am so looking forward to this because I've always envisioned the Bronto Smash hypothesis. If you're familiar with that, it was this thing that not came out, but it was something that was I don't know if it ever actually got officially properly published, but it was at least in an SVP talk by, I think, Matt Weddle and what's the other man? I forget the other man's name, but he's also a sauropod expert. And they were looking at a Pterosaurus neck vertebrae and how thick their necks were compared to other sauropods, or how thick their neck bones were anyway. And they proposed this idea that they were smashing into each other, as kind of like elephant seals. And so even then, the general notion of sauropods being aggressive, combative animals with each other, never mind with predators, is never seen this on screen before, as far as I can tell. I can remember. Actually, no, that's not true. There was one scene of no, there were two scenes actually of interspecific combat with sauropods. So I stand corrected, but you had the Walking with Dinosaurs scene with the Diplodocus, and then Alpha's egg had a quick little necking fight, but that was there goes my mic. But that was pretty quick, and both are pretty quick and fairly tame in comparison to what this looks like it's going to be. And these are two freaking, I don't know what kind of sauropods these are. I know they've been confirmed to not be Alamosaurus, so maybe Dreadnoughtus or something like that. I can't think of any other giant late Cretaceous titanosaurs that would be worthy of being featured in a documentary like this. Because I mean, titanosaurs are a dime a dozen. You find we hear about a new one every other week, and it's usually a back or neck bones. So yeah, I'm going to guess something like that. Sorry, I'm looking right at the chat real quick because I am interacting with people. Let's see. Global tour of late Cretaceous. Yes, global tour of the late Cretaceous is definitely what I've heard this was supposed to be in the first place. So definitely looking forward to that. I was thinking with the title Prehistoric Planet, that's just sort of begging for a follow-up. Because the weird part about doing dinosaur documentaries, I feel, Not that I've ever done one, but like, the weird part about like thinking about doing one is just the scope of the Mesozoic. Everyone's going to want to cover or have this expectation of like, the Walking with Dinosaurs or When Dinosaurs Roamed America formula where you go throughout the entire Mesozoic. But like, if you really want to sort of settle into it to some extent, like you're going to miss out on a lot of things because there's only so much you can cover in so little time. And, trying to put like a prehistoric planet against a planet Earth or a blue planet where it's like, this is snapshots of Earth right now versus here's Earth over 250 million years or, however many millions of years, not 250 million years, but like, you know what I'm saying? The entirety of the Mesozoic from 250 to 66. It's like, there's just so much you're going to skip. Like it doesn't do anything justice to the extent that the modern documentaries would. So you're always going to pigeonhole yourself in that respect. So I'm definitely hoping that they would get, these would get follow-up series if they're successful. I'm also genuinely curious as to, now that we know what kind this is covering, what are the other documentaries? Because Nash has mentioned them before. There's other prehistory sort of walking with style shows coming up. And I have no idea what they are or what they could be about. And I don't know if they're related to this at all. So yeah, reading through the chat for the other thing. The dinosaur evolution. Oh, actually, yeah, I never noticed that, or it didn't click for me. I think having a bright red is kind of like a bright red on the neck. It's kind of ubiquitous, I feel. Maybe not ubiquitous, but it's like an easy-ish color to go for, I think, going for red. Whether that's the actual plausibility of that, I don't really know, but I mean, red's a pretty eye-catching color, and I don't see why it wouldn't be done repeatedly in designs, intentionally referencing another one or not. All right, let me move forward a little bit.
This is Prehistoric Planet.
All right, this beach shot is very nice.
There are many ways to describe life on this planet.
The plesiosaurs' interactions with the water look nice, but they're still the weakest of the shots to me. This surfacing bit, I mean, I'm not going to complain about it, and like this took years of work, so who am I to criticize really? But like, yeah, I mean, I don't blame them. Like animating stuff in water is probably one of the most difficult things to do, I would imagine, based on what little I've seen from like VFX folks and their feedback on these sorts of things. Do I have a favorite restoration so far within this series? I've got to look at it all again, honestly, because there are just so many things I'm seeing right now. So let me get through the trailer and I will get back to you on that.
Some creatures could be called magnificent, or monstrous. Perhaps misunderstood.
I will say this is probably my favorite T-Rex put to screen. Before that, my favorite T-Rex put to screen was actually the one from When Dinosaurs Roamed America. I just think that one has a very nice naturalistic color palette, and overall the anatomy is not too bad. Like it's held up pretty decently for the most part, I would say, compared to like some of its contemporaries from the time. I'm personally a big fan of muted color palettes, but with complex color schemes underlying it, just like really subtle sort of patterning. So the Prehistoric Planet T-Rex definitely hits that spot for me. Because it's not brightly colored, but it's got these sort of like shades of like the bright yellow and then the jaguar spots or the rosettes, if you look closely at it. So yeah, so I would say so far that's been my overall favorite design, but I'm just now seeing all these other things that are in the trailer. So give me one. Let me see what else shows up.
But only a few creatures.
And what is this thing here? I mean, I'm assuming it's some sort of. I mean, it's obviously some sort of an ornithopod. It looks really small though. Oh wait, maybe this is a Hateg. I don't know how you actually pronounce that. Hateg Island. Maybe this is part of that scene because they show up later in the clip and they look very small. Like, but their proportions look adult. So maybe these are something like shoot, what are those things called? Why am I blanking on names? Like Rhabdodonts or something like that. Maybe that's what these are.
Who roam this earth.
Ooh, Tarbosaurus. Look, I'm assuming this is Tarbosaurus. Oh, 3 of them. I didn't even notice these 3 in the background, or these other 2 in the background. I just saw the one in the center that the raptor is creeping past. They have a nice palette. I like it. I like it.
Could be called all three.
This is a this shot here. Oh wow. Like the cinematography one, yeah, like whew, I'm looking at the the Experience of 5 Night documentary event where the pterosaurs are flying over the waterfall. And it's just like like Pterosaur Mountain. I think this is actually supposed to be what's that northeast? There's a fossil formation in northeastern, or not northeastern, northwest Africa that's like a pterosaur, might have been a pterosaur nesting ground for like so many different genera of pterosaurs at this point. And I'm not sure what it's called, but there's like 3 or 4 different pterosaurs in here, and I think that's what this is actually referencing. I heard rumor that this was going to be part of that scene, and I was curious what that would look like. So I'm guessing that's what this is here. I will correct myself if I'm proven to be wrong. Let's see. Continuing forward. Deinocheirus. Deinocheirus in all of its glory. The funny thing about Deinocheirus to me is that I've actually gotten used to the more bear-looking reconstructions that have come out in recent years. But I'm not complaining about this because actually I think there was some recent studies within the last 2 or 3 years, I think, that have actually come out to find the Nemect. I think this is Deinocheirus is Nemect formation, right? Not Jadocta. Nemect. So the Nemect may have been actually a lot cooler than commonly depicted, like cold enough to apparently be like frosty at a time. So it wasn't, scorching desert 20, like 100% of the time. And even then, like even the hot deserts on Earth today, they get very cold at night. So the feathery covering is not really something I'm all that fussed about in this case, even if it's on like a big animal like this. So let's see. Let me go back to the chat real quick. Yeah, the Carnotaurus. Oh yeah, the Carnotaurus. Hold on. I have a point about the Carnotaurus when I get to it. The smaller pod might be Zalmoxius. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm not too versed on the Hateg fauna, like off the top of my head. Like I remember my experience of Hateg Island was obviously like Pod's travels, and that's about it. I know it had a segment in Planet Dinosaur, but I have not watched that show in a while. And I remember that show only really focused on the pterosaurs and the tiny sauropods. So Let's see. So moving forward.
Explore the coastlines where giants roam. The deserts where danger rules.
I like this shot right here, where these pterosaurs are scavenging, because we got the camera on the inside of the carcass. That's cool. I've always liked more like innovative shots like these. Excuse me, these innovative shots like these in these sorts of nature documentaries. I guess you could say this might also be a reference to that shot in Walking with Dinosaurs, where the Utah Raptor is like is nibbling towards the camera, and the camera's inside the iguanodon carcass. The texturing on their beaks, I mean, the texturing on everything is really good, but like shots like these in particular, where you've got the models against something that they're interacting with that is almost certainly a practical effect, or you know, like a prop. Really cool, really cool. Let's see, we're moving forward. Now, I saw everyone getting hyped about Olorotitan. Is it just because it's I'm not, again, this is my blind spot showing, but like, I know what Olorotitan is. Like, I know it's a hadrosaur with an interesting looking crest, but like, is there something more about it that I should be aware of? Or do people just like like it because it looks cool? I mean, I'm happy to see hadrosaurs getting some love here. I'm just curious if there's something I'm missing. They really improved on this shot, unless it's this shot here with the Pachyrhinosaurs facing off against the Nyctosaurus. The lighting is completely different here than it was in the teaser trailer, which definitely helps the CGI, I think, in my opinion. But I'm also wondering why it was color graded like this. Is it supposed to be like a nighttime shot, or is the lighting bad? Or is it lighting supposed to be like the dark of winter kind of thing? I don't know. I'm not gonna like judge it or anything. I was called the Nanotyrannus, Jesus Christ. The Nyctosaurus look very skinny legged. That's interesting to me. I don't know. I thought they might have been like juveniles or something. Because Nyctosaurus recently was like upsized, as far as I remember, like more closely sized to like Plesiosaurus or something. And granted, as far as I'm aware, Nyctosaurus is just mostly skull pieces and maybe a few isolated parts of other aspects of its skeleton. But the build, I think, is supposed to be more Plesiosaurian looking. But again, this is all unpublished research them as far as I know. So I'm not judging. I'm just, you know, what's going on here? There are a couple of little things I either missed, or maybe it's just showing its age already. It's like how quickly paleontology progresses. I don't know. Go back to the chat real quick. Nanotyrannus. Yeah, look. I mean, these skinny legged little things. The Pachyrhinosaurs look huge compared to them as well, so that doesn't help. That doesn't help their case. All right, moving forward a bit more. Oh shoot! Okay. He looks the expression, like the dinosaur faces are not really supposed to be expressive per se. When I say supposed to be, I mean like they probably couldn't move most of their facial muscles, because that's just how reptiles are for the most part. There are some reptiles, I will add the caveat. There are a handful of like lizards that I'm aware of that can, I think, move like their upper lip portion, but they do that, if I remember correctly, by moving a ligament or some bone in their skull that shifts around to do that. So it's not just like the muscles themselves moving. But I say all this to say that this shot right here, this guy looks mad as mad as hell. And it's just funny to me for some reason. Although I'm sure this scene is going to get really brutal. Like I feel like we're headed towards some really hardcore beatdown with these fighting sauropods. Like I'm thinking almost like why am I blanking on names today? Primal, that episode of Primal. And if you haven't seen that episode of Primal, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there is a sauropod fight scene, and it is the most brutal thing you will probably watch in a very long time. At least sauropod related, at least until this thing comes out. And even then, I don't even think this scene will top that. Because yeah, Primal's a whole trip in itself. Not quite my cup of tea, but I respect it for what it is. But yeah, moving on. Oh, he's biting him. Hold on. Sorry, I gotta go back for a second. Because I thought that was a headbutt, but no, he's going in to bite him in this. But yeah, this is gonna be very brutal. Okay. I am looking forward to this scene.
Join us for a story you've never.
They're so small. These little ornithopods, whatever they are, they're so little. but they're so built. It's just funny to look at. The scaling in some of these feels weird. And just by that, I just mean like I don't really have I personally am not getting like a clear frame of reference size-wise. Because they look, because I don't know if Zalmoxes was that small. Like the way the shot is framed, like they look barely a foot tall. Was Zalmoxes that small? Hold on, I'm actually gonna Google this. How small was it? Nah, it's like coming up is roughly dog-sized, like mid-sized dog. So maybe these are baby Zalmoxes and they're just really built. Or maybe this is some like undescribed new thing that they threw in here. I don't know. We'll see. Let me see. We'll find out. Because I think there might be some like, this is just me speculating right now, but I think there might actually be some undescribed dinosaurs in this, or other taxa in the show. Because somebody asked Darren Naish on Twitter yesterday, yesterday, about what I thought was the Velociraptor, the gray raptor we've been seeing since they started promoting this thing. Because they noted that the time frame might be a bit off for it to be a Velociraptor, but it doesn't match, to that person anyway, it doesn't match the anatomy of the raptors that are known and named from that formation. And so Naish responded to him, or responded to that person, saying something like, it'll all be explained soon. So like, where are we going with this? It sounds like there's some new things. There's a lot of like behind the scenes, new research going into this, that even like we, the people who are like, the the sort of rabid paleo fans and or people who are actually in the field don't even know about yet, which is pretty cool. I always think it's cool when shows do that sort of thing. Like most of what was shown in like the Zuni Basin in when dinosaurs roamed America, at the time I think most of those animals were either published like just that year or like just before that or just after that, like in the case of the raptors that the Sauropod they had in that section. You know, if you when I get to that segment in my When Dinosaurs Roamed America review, you know, quick plug, I'll go over that story for anyone who doesn't know it. But the Zuni Basin was recommended to the producers because of, you know, it was so new and there were so many new things coming out of there, but they hadn't actually published on most of these things yet. So it was enough for them to say, we know what this is, like we know it is, you know, representative of this thing or this thing or this thing or this thing, and we have enough to like reconstruct it, but we don't have a name for it yet per se. And there's some stipulations, some interesting stipulations regarding how formally undescribed taxa can be used and portrayed in shows like this. I know, what was that other it was also Zuni Basin. The Zuni Tyrannus from Planet Dinosaur, which ended up being what we now call Susky Tyrannus. The reason it has the name Susky Tyrannus is because, at least in part from what I've read, this is being when I say what I've read, I'm talking about tweets I've read from the museum that all these fossils are housed in. Someone using their account said that when Planet Dinosaur came to them for like consultancy, and they said they wanted to present these dinosaurs in this segment, including Zuni Tyrannus. The museum told the producers, like, you can use the dinosaur, you can show it off in the show, but don't use that name because the authors are going to use the name, or they want to use the name officially for the animal when they publish it. They're not going to be able to publish it before the show comes out. So don't use the name, otherwise it's going to be like invalidated or whatever. Invalidated specifically as a nomen nudum, I believe. So nomen nudum, if I understand this correctly, is when the name gets published. But by published, I mean like it's in the public in a scientific context. Like if the name is revealed to the public in a scientific context. And by scientific context, I mean like it's educational, it's presented as a scientific thing, but it's not actually a formal description. And so if you publish a name without a formal description, then that name gets invalidated because there's nothing to back up the claim that this is a new species. So why are we listening to you in the first place if you're going to make this claim? And so Planet Dinosaur actually did that, published Zuni Tyrannus by calling it Zuni Tyrannus in the show. And so the authors couldn't use that name anymore, which they apparently were planning on doing. So they had to change the name to Susky Tyrannus, which I think is a little bit of a better name actually, but it means coyote tyrant, because Susky is a word that's taken from I remember reading this. It's some Native American language that's indigenous to that specific region. It's their word for coyote. So I personally like when names use vocabulary from the places that the animals were found, from indigenous languages. I'm all for that sort of thing. But the fact that the TV producers, someone miscommunicated or was hard-headed enough to be like, "No, the name is cool. Let's disregard what the consultants told us." Yeah, great work, guys. Anyway, that was a long ramble. So point being, I say all this to say that there's probably going to be some stuff in here if I'm reading the situation correctly, that is unpublished, and I'm curious to see how they handle that and how they treat that naming wise. So moving forward, because I'm actually still going through this trailer. Okay, so this shot of these two T-Rexes nuzzling each other. One's got a leg scar. Maybe that's a Mosasaur attack? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Or maybe a Triceratops fight. I don't know. It could be either one. That's cute. Now, Carnotaurus. Here we go. This shot right here with these Carnotaurus arms. I feel like this was directly inspired by All Yesterday's. I mean, well, of course it was, because Dwayne Nash was in, not Dwayne Nash, Darren Naish. Darren Naish. I get those two confused all the time. But yeah, Darren Naish was behind All Yesterday's, I think. I'm pretty sure it was. He's written about it at least. I know he's on that wave. So Carnotaurus using their arms as display structures, I'm all for this. That they are bright blue, I'm also for this. Because if you don't know, Carnotaurus, which you may know from, excuse me, you might know Carnotaurus from the movie Dinosaur, the big bad dinosaur, that movie, and then subsequent appearances in like the Jurassic World movies and the Camp Cretaceous and various other things. It's not an unpopular dinosaur. It's got a cool look. I like it. This clearly came out before, or excuse me, this clearly was made before the paper that talked about how the what do they call them? The feature scales on the back, because we always think they're osteoderms, but apparently they're not technically osteoderms. But you always see them arranged in these rows, these neat rows running along the back of the animal. But the examination or re-examination that was published, I think, in either really early this year or late last year in 2021, basically found that these scales were not arranged in neat rows. They were just kind of helter-skelter all over the body. So, you know, I mean, like I said, paleontology can progress at such a quick rate sometimes, even though the work itself takes years and years and years to do, which I don't think people really appreciate. And by appreciate, I mean, like, a lot of people I feel don't really understand that on the outside looking in. But, you know, when the change does happen and the research does come out showing something else, yeah, like it feels overnight to us on the outside looking in. But, you know, when you're on the inside of the game, you know, these are like master's theses and, like, you know, long-term projects that people may have been sitting on for decades, honestly, that just happened to come out. And the only reason they're a surprise to us is just because, you know, we don't know about it. You know, and it's not really talked about anyway. But anyway, back to this. So anyway, I was personally really like the idea of Carnotaurus using these little stubby arms, which have no mobility from the shoulder down. Like, none of these move. Their fingers, I don't think, could actually bend. I mean, if you look at them here in the scene, like, they're clearly non-functional. But they can move the arm. Like, the shoulder has a whole lot of movement, like a very wide range of movement, and their pecs are huge. So, like, what is this thing doing with these tiny arms, these tiny little immovable or unbendable stumps, but then these giant pecs with the shoulder movement? And so personally, I was thinking we'd get some sort of like a seal kind of thing, because I saw some video of a seal like basically slapping itself and it made a funny sound, and for some reason that brought Carnotaurus to mind, and any Beelzebufo actually, but like Carnotaurus to mind in particular. But this is just as goofy and I love it. So yeah, it's definitely crazy how, like you said, how some of these things are already kind of outdated. Um, but it can only be a good thing. Like, and frankly, like this is going to be brand new. All of this that's shown here is going to be so brand new to so many people. Like this is so far ahead of like what a lot of people I think are used to based on like the Jurassic World resurgence and how the public still sort of generally views dinosaurs. Because like people get that, like from my experience as a tour guide at the Peabody, and having people ask me questions about the things in the collections, about dinosaurs in general, and of course like my friends and other folks who all know that I'm the person to ask about dinosaurs for whatever reason. um, they all they know, a lot of them have the idea in their heads that things like, oh, dinosaurs had feathers. Oh, and Knoop did a Carnotaurus courtship dance, arm slap. Cool. Okay, so great minds think alike, I guess. um, but no, what I was saying. Shoot, let me back up my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh, right. So when people would ask me these sorts of questions about dinosaur appearances or behavior and stuff like that, I think they're aware of the notion of things like raptors had feathers, or they're aware of like Jurassic Park or Jurassic World is wrong to an extent, right? But they don't necessarily have an idea in their heads of like what a right look for them or what a right behavior would be. Because I feel like a lot of commentary, to an extent, and I've seen this echoed before, so I'm not going to say this is an original idea of mine per se, or like this is something that I only thought of, but like I think it is something that's kind of common where you see a lot of corrections being made. People will address, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, and they won't necessarily say, and here's an alternative, right? They won't necessarily say, here's what we do know, kind of thing. It's just more like, here's evidence against this perception. But then the picture isn't really painted in a lot of cases for what a more correct envisioning would be. So even if like we're seeing here, where you have some of these depictions already being incorrect, based on studies that were published in the last, I guess, the last year or so, right? It's still a big jump forward from a lot of people are sort of used to actually seeing. So this can only be a good thing, I feel. So people will nitpick and I'm going to nitpick because that's just what we do. But I think we can nitpick out of love for it, right? Love for the project and love for the field in general, and this is just hopefully a starting point for bigger and better things. I don't know how much bigger you can get than this, but but hopefully this will be the start of a new wave, I guess. So let's see. We've been talking for almost the better part of an hour now. Let me finish this. Oh, shoot. Okay, I didn't even notice this shot before. So we're looking at some Mosasaurs fighting each other. I don't know why, I think it was just the sound that caught me off guard with the impact of it biting its neck. I mean, Mosasaurs fighting each other since anything we've never seen before. But, it's always cool to see. This is a nice shot. I think I just like waterfalls. Waterfalls just impress me. Looking at three dromaeosaurs standing by a waterfall. I'm not sure what the situation is here, but they're there. They're on the edge. Now here we go. We're getting to the Beelzebufo, the giant Madagascan frog. Although giant's a bit of a relative term because they actually weren't that much bigger than African bullfrogs and some of the other big frogs we have around today. But Big frog is big frog. Big frog that eats dinosaurs is just extra cool. Ooh, now sorry, this shot, it's probably very insignificant, but this shot I just think is very nice. I don't know what it is. It's some sort of dromaeosaur, I think, or some small Maniraptoran in general. It's just a very nice close-up. Anyway, continuing onwards. I'm really looking forward to this chase scene. This chase scene with the Qianzhousaurus and the, I think, a Corythoraptor. Some sort of ornithomimid, not ornithomimid, Oviraptorosaur. Yay, baby Triceratops looking ugly. Adorably ugly. I like it. The only other reconstruction I've seen like this is Saurians. And so many people I've seen hate the Saurian design because of how gremlin-y it looks. And I'm like I get it. It's not the cute little pudgy baby Triceratops that everyone knows and love or thinks they know and love from other media, but like, you know, it's got its own charm. It's got its own little ugly little baby charm. It can't help it looks this way. Nyctosaurus looking nice. That's a good shot. The less than sign on its head. Nyctosaurus is a really interesting pterosaur. To me anyway, only because it's got no fingers except for its wing finger. Because most pterosaurs, in case you don't know, they got these 3 fingers that they were walking on, and then this finger here was the one that was extended to make the wing. They didn't have a pinky. But in Nyctosaurus, these 3 fingers are just completely gone. I don't know if they just haven't been preserved, or they were like small and vestigial and fell off and so weren't preserved, or they just straight up did not develop them at all. But they are, as far as we know, effectively fingerless, which is pretty wild to me. I guess that would imply that they were, I guess, perhaps more seagoing than other pterosaurs were. Maybe I don't want to say they didn't walk, but I don't know. I'd be interested to ask like Mark Whitten about it. He's a pterosaur expert. I've never talked to him, but you know, he seems like someone to ask about these sorts of things. Almost through the rest of this. Let's see. This is some mixed species herding. That's a cool shot. And now it's just this glorious music.
Unknown, unexplained, unbelievable.
Unknown, unexplained, unbelievable until now. I guess that's what got him on board, because I've seen some talk about how David Attenborough was initially asked to do the narration for the original Walking with Dinosaurs series, and he backed out of that because supposedly he said something like he didn't like how sort of speculative it was. He, I guess, felt that they were not that he was an expert in paleontology, but like he felt that sort of the nature of paleontology doesn't lend itself to the sort of, I guess, like astute certainty that he would like to be associated with. So it's interesting that they have this tagline at the end. if you consider that history that he has with the BBC and their natural history shows and Walking with Dinosaurs in particular, because I mean he's done other paleontology things, but if you've noticed those shows, which I honestly have not watched most, if not all of, or yeah, most if not all of them. I've seen, I think, which one have I seen? I've seen the one that he did on mammoths recently. But basically he does a lot of shows, when he does engage in paleontology, they've all sort of been like mostly talks with paleontologists. They'll have a couple short scenes with the CGI creature interacting with him, or like the CGI creature interacting with like, you know, in its environment for like a minute or two, and then it'll go back to the bones and the fossils and the things that we're more sure about because, you know, it's right there. So yeah, it's interesting that he's finally on board with this. So I guess they've shown him enough things to be like, oh, you know, I'm interested. I will narrate your documentary. That's not a good Attenborough impression. I've been working on it, but I'm not quite there yet. Have I seen Dinosaur: The Final Day? Not yet. I'm looking forward to watching that because Cameron Muscally is in it. And if you don't know who Cameron Muscally is, he's a great paleontologist. Yeah, he's a great amateur. Well, not amateur. I don't want to call it amateur because that makes it seem a bit demeaning. But like, there's a word he uses for it, avocational. He's a great avocational paleontologist. We're about the same age, early mid-20s, and he was interviewed for the show. He's got a YouTube channel. I will for 100% plug it because, again, I think he's great. Self-taught paleontologist. He goes out to the sides of the road in like he's in Georgia, I think, too. So he's down in like the South, where, like, you know, there's not a lot of. I'm not gonna say there's not a lot of paleontology. There's paleontology going on in the South, but like everyone overlooks the eastern part of North America for the most part, as far as like paleontology is concerned, or at least Mesozoic paleontology is concerned, for various reasons. But he's just out there. He's finding things. He'll be on the side of the highway, pull out some giant shell fossils. I will link his channel because, again, I think he's great, and also, like, I'm gonna say it, he's Black, and I love seeing Black people in paleontology. Makes me feel a little less lonely. But yeah, but so he got interviewed for the show, and I'm if nothing else, like, I'd watch it to support. So I'm waiting for. I'm sure there's a link to watch it, the BBC version somewhere out there right now. But I might wait for the Nova release because that's how Americans are gonna officially be able to watch it. And I think that's May 11th. I think that's May 11th when it's coming out. So it might be a couple weeks before I see it, but I'm interested in seeing it. I know Attenborough's narrating it or presenting it as well. So that'll be cool. The Tannis site itself, I mean, I don't have a real opinion on it. I know there's some controversy regarding De Palma and the sort of, I don't want to say legitimacy, but I don't know. There's aspects of this should have been published first, or, you know, peer reviewed before you go making claims that that we can't really back up per se right now. I mean, it's an exciting find regardless, because it's not like the fossils themselves aren't real, right? You got the freaking crispy, the crispy Plesiosaur leg, which is by itself cool enough. I mean, the problem with that is, for anyone unfamiliar, the site is saying, or the site is being portrayed as like this sort of last place. Not last place. It was like the last day. It's literally called the last day of the dinosaurs, something like that, because it's heavily inferring, based on the work of some of the paleontologists there, that all the dinosaurs and all the other animals at this site were killed specifically on the day that the bolide hit. I'm saying bolide instead of asteroid because it might not have actually been an asteroid. It might have been a comet. There's back and forth reports, but there's a new study that came out like a couple months ago that suggested it was actually a comet. point being, something hit the Earth. They're saying that these things died specifically on that day, and that's a big claim to make. So you got to have big evidence to back up the big claim. Shoot, my computer's actually dying. So give me 1 quick second. I'll be right back to plug it in. Actually, you can still hear me speaking. So let me take off the mic real quick so I can get some reach. All right. That was quick, little problem averted. So anyway, so yeah, I'm looking forward to eventually watching that. Paleocast interview one of them. Oh, okay, cool. And said they do discuss how they make the final day inference. I'm not versed enough to say it sounds legit, but it's very interesting. Okay, fair enough. Like I'm sure they'll present something in the show to say this is why we think what we think. So I'm not saying they're invalid claims. I'm just addressing that there is some potential. There is some controversy around the site and around one of the central paleontologists himself, but that's something I'm not going to get into because I really don't know all that much about it, and I'm not going to speak on it as if I have any sort of authority or real stance to weigh in on. Either way, I will watch the show. I will be watching the show eventually. It looks cool, and so yeah, things should be published first. As a matter of principle, I would very much like for that to be the case. Because I mean, it's obviously going to take a while to get that sort of work done. Like I was in a lab recently, a couple of days ago, that I might be joining soon, and it's a small little lab, but they've got so many fossils and a lot of Triassic stuff, and it's just bags and bags and bags of dirt, and it's so meticulous, like dig through all that thing. Like it's a bag about like a gallon Ziploc bag of like material from like the Chinle Formation or something, and it's like microfossils and little teeth and other little bone fragments inside of those, and people can make entire like master's degrees, or not make a master's degree, but there's material in there that you can publish on as your master's or your PhD thesis and stuff. You just got to have the patience to go through all of it. So yeah, like these things take time. Like that's something I think, again, a lot of people don't really appreciate how much time and work goes into getting something like studied to get it published. And this is before you even think about the peer review process, which I'm not going to say I have any real knowledge or authority on, or not authority, but any sort of like opinion from experience, because I haven't published anything yet. But from friends I have who have published things or have things that are in the peer review process right now, like it is a grind and a drag to get through sometimes. So yeah, it takes a while, but once it pays off, it pays off, and then you get and then next thing you know, you're out here making the newest dinosaur documentary look obsolete overnight. But yeah, it is almost 1 a.m, and at least local time, and this invigorated me, but I'm very tired. So I'm probably going to close it down here, but I appreciate everyone who popped in even for a quick second to watch and sit through my rambling for an hour, in addition to like the 5 to 10 minutes of tech issues at the beginning. Oh, the Prehistoric Kingdom trailer is coming out tomorrow. You're right. I forgot about that. Cool. I probably won't react to it or anything like that. but I will add it to my list of things to look forward to. That's the playlist I have with trailers for like games and films and stuff that I think are cool in the edutainment vein and stuff. But yeah, I will. I think I'll edit this down for a proper video, but the live stream, I'm figuring out how these live streams actually work, because I would like to get some actual do some live streaming of interesting work that I might end up doing in the relatively near future. ... We'll see about that, but I'm not going to say any more right now. Cough, cough, cough. But yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks for being my test subjects. And I hope y'all enjoy whatever the next few hours hold for you, whether it's bedtime or it's the beginning of your day, maybe if you're on the other side of the planet right now, or actually will be the middle of your day. But yeah, appreciate you joining. Thanks for joining the party, and I will see y'all in the next video next month, unless they release another surprise thing. But yeah, channel anniversary is next month on May 18th. There will be a video out for that. I don't plan on releasing anything else until then, because I will be very busy. But yeah, okay, final goodbyes. Adios. Good night, everyone.